After the first 6 months of this fiscal year, we're looking at a $1.1 billion operational surplus. Thanks to higher resource revenue and higher investment income, operational revenue was higher than expected. Operational expenses were lower than expected, mainly due to the timing of health grants. And we remain pretty much on track with the budget estimate on capital spending. I expect operational results should be balanced by the end of 2013-14 fiscal year. Let me be clear here. We will be pretty much balanced, even with spending for flood recovery and even with the return of the bitumen bubble. At the end of the fiscal year, we expect a range in a surplus of $250 million to a potential deficit of $250 million if things go south. But that's all good news. But we didn't get here by chance. We got here thanks to long-term, thoughtful planning and a commitment to fiscal restraint.
Same old story, record revenue, more debts and more deficits. Minister Horner obviously talks about turning the corner. I hear the Edmonton Oilers have turned a corner as well. Clearly, we have serious issues as a province that need to be dealt with. The forecasted final deficit, operational deficit surplus of between $250 million deficit and $250 million surplus, of course, does not count the capital spending, the $4 to $5 billion in capital spending that the government plans to do, and that's not including the flood. It doesn't include that number. So the consolidated cash deficit is in the area of $3 to $4 billion still. Obviously, we all like to see good results on the oil and gas, but we shouldn't be hoping for instability in the Middle East as a strategy.
First of all, I'm appalled at the comment by Mr. Anderson about the Edmonton Oilers. It clearly shows that this party is still not in contact. It's not connecting with Edmonton. Well, things look better now because oil prices and bitumen prices have risen. We're still on the royalty roller coaster. We still depend for a very significant portion of our operating expenses on unpredictable, volatile, non-renewable royalty revenue. So the government attempted to promise school boards and healthcare facilities predictable funding. But since the government itself does not have predictable funding, it can't deliver on that promise. And we've seen the results of that in the last year.
You can see that the government has no idea what the global debt number is. It has no idea where the predictable, sustainable funding is going to come from, and is basically going along with a hope and a prayer to hopefully sell more raw bitumen and maybe get some pipelines done. But a lot of these things are outside of the government's control.
But I think overall it's an improved position. But we have to remember, we're taking in record revenues. We're still running a $2.3 billion consolidated deficit. That should say something about the unsustainable fiscal plan that we are on right now. Unless resource revenues stay this high or go higher, we're still going to be running deficits when we come to 2015, 2016. So either we're going to have much higher revenues and continued high revenues, or they're going to have to alter the fiscal plan to either reduce spending or hike taxes.